r/AskReddit. What improved your life so much, you wished you did sooner? Got a cat. I dedicate at least 30 minutes every day to playing with my kid. Full stop. I used to just play with him sometimes and feel guilty when I couldn't. But then I realized something. I was journaling every day about my feelings. And I realized that the high point of every single day was the time I spent playing pretend with him because we're both so joyful. He's 6. And he's growing up way too fast. And I adore him. So even when I'm exhausted and get really busy, I now set aside other, grown-up, responsibilities and make a fort. Pretend to be a puppy. Or make a fake dinner with him in his playhouse. I forget I'm his parent or an adult for a half hour and talk to him as if I were still his age. It makes him happier than anything in the world when mommy plays with him. But the real surprise was noticing that it made me happy too. That time isn't just quality time. It's something my soul treasures as downtime from the rest of my life. I genuinely enjoy it. And I think most other people would too if they would just try it. Forget how silly it makes you feel and just do it. Trying to be more positive in general. Stopped caring what others think about me. Buying a decent mattress. Well, a mattress topper at least for the majority of my life since I hit puberty I could never get to. Sleep quickly. I'd roll around for hours with my eyes closed and get comfortable but could never doze off. And when I woke up, it was mostly just resigning myself to the fact that it was time to get out of bed whether I actually felt rested or not. I just assumed that I suffered from some kind of insomnia and there wasn't much I could do about. Because I wasn't about to go down the route of taking sleeping pills and all the problems that can bring. Then one day I finally decided that if I was going to spend sleepless nights awake tossing in bed I was at least gonna be comfortable. So I bought a really nice memory foam mattress topper. I've never slept so good in my whole life and my whole world changed. Add in a good shredded memory foam pillow and I'm in heaven. I'm out like a light in a few minutes and comfy as hell. So I wake up with tons of energy and a better outlook on life. Learned Spanish. Now I have a lot of amazing Latino friends and I got a lot of great gigs and opportunities because of it. Walking. I've got stamina again. Edit. Thanks for the award, kind stranger. Going to the gym. I feel like I suffered with hating my body longer than I should have. I realized I could have actually done something about it so much sooner. I recently took up hand sewing. When I think of how many good pairs of jeans I've thrown away simply because the crotch ripped in. All it would have took to fix them was a double-threaded ladder stitch. Stopped being Mormon. Turns out having sex and not feeling guilt about almost everything is pretty great. Got the toenails on my 2 big toes surgically removed. I suffered from horrific ingrown toenails for years, bleeding, infected, constant pain. You cut them. They just kept coming back. Finally went to see a chiropodist who said, I can deal with this permanently. Remove the nail. Burn the nail bed so it doesn't come back. A few weeks recovery. And you will never have this pain again. I had a surgery that felt no worse than a tooth extraction. A recovery where I had to change dressings and go easy on my feet for a month or so. And then absolute bliss. Not a single ingrown toenail in the 25 years since getting a dog. Start only doing things you really want to do. I always felt this pressure to please others by inconveniencing myself or putting myself in an uncomfortable position is to make someone else happy. Or not upset. Fuck all that. It's okay to say no and not have to have anxiety coming up with an excuse. Do you really want to go out? Or is your friend pressuring you to go? Just say no and be firm. No excuses. Just be clear and firm. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying be an asshole. My life has improved greatly. No more social anxiety. No more unwanted social pressure. Just doing whatever I truly want to do because it makes me happy. Playing Minecraft. I'm a fully grown adult that used to think it was really stupid. But then my friend set up a server. And now we all play together. It's a wonderful creative outlet that isn't anywhere near as stressful as some games can be. Eating dinner or a late snack at work. Too often I would leave work hungry. And the temptation driving past Chick-fil-A or the corner taco shop was too much. I've kept my weight under control for a couple of years now. Having dropped from the 220s to the 170s. Got a proper diagnosis. I think a lot of people that for years questioned themselves, what's wrong with me? When they finally got diagnosed, it's a big relief and changes a lot in a better way. Daily exercise. It doubled my energy for an hour out of my day. Meeting my wife. That woman fills my heart in ways words can't describe. It just can't be too much sooner because then I wouldn't have my awesome stepsons. Riding my bike at least an hour a day. My social skills. Looking back, I could have made some awesome new friends. But nope. My anxiety-driven ass had to be difficult back then. Yoga. Ritalin. Bachelor degree at 47 years old. Master degree at 50 years old. Doubled my salary in 4 years. From just getting by to on track for retiring at 60. Moving out of my home country. Low impact cardio. Fuck, I loved to run, but it destroyed my legs. I can swim my little heart out, smiley face. Bought an apartment, townhouse instead of renting. TBF, it was basically only a year between when I could have and when I did. And the timing was great for when I did, and I got a great interest rate. New place is nicer. It's cheaper than renting. Accounting for the rental income from renting out the spare room. And my rent isn't just going into a black hole. Half of it goes into an asterisk asset that I can eventually get back. More. Really. Given that the place is probably worth 50% plus more than when I bought it in 2020. Then, a year later, getting a home gym set up. I'm still far from perfect. But it's a lot harder to excuse skipping a workout when it's a 10-second walk rather than another 10 to 20 minutes to my commute. And I don't have to find an open bench, rack. Can take proper rest between sets without feeling bad about hogging a setup for half an hour. And never have to just give up and do something else. When I stopped worrying about things I could not control. Completely eliminated my general anxiety. Still can't speak in public. But a catastrophic climate disaster? Sometimes it be like that. Reading books way more. Quit soda. I really loved it, but now I don't miss it at all. Got a divorce. Sobriety 5 years. Getting toxic people out of my life. Quitting drinking is the best thing I've ever done for my mental and physical health, and it's done nothing but improve my relationships. The last year and a half have been the best I've ever had. Understanding that just because they're your parents doesn't mean they get a mandatory place in your life. Although it's not what I wanted. Walking away was the best thing for my mental health. Now that my father has passed, I seldom think of my mother and brother. LASIK eye surgery. Waited years to get it and kicked myself. Went from thick glasses to 2015s and still have it many years later. I started viewing things as potential experiences rather than just opportunities for achievement. Before that, for example, if I took a class, then I was only focused on the grade. If I couldn't get a good grade, I didn't like the class. Heck, I wouldn't even start a book if I thought it might be too hard or too long and I might not finish it. Then I realized the purpose of classes and books and other things was to learn, and that hard ones were likely the ones I learned the most from. Even if I didn't get the best grade, I started doing all sorts of stuff with the idea that I just wanted the experience. Even if I was the worst one out there. Who cares? I wasn't there for the achievement. I wanted to learn things. This works socially as well, and I started taking way more risks. Telling myself that, at the very least, it would be a learning experience. I saw a saying once. It's only a failure if you stop trying. Otherwise, it's an experiment. I love it. I love working out and deleting most social media like Twitter. Flossing. Actually, I use a water pick now. Now my hygiene and cleaning visits are a breeze. And I haven't had a cavity in years. I tell myself and others, wow, you're really good at that about almost anything. Did my dog do a good yawn? Yes. Did I cross the street super responsibly? Yes. Did you do a great job getting up from the couch? Yes. Yeah. Quitting drinking. Everything is easier these days, coming up on 4 years. Quitting smoking. Realizing that, for the most part, people are decent and just get through life like everybody else. Moved away from the state I grew up in. I didn't know how unhappy I was. I had gotten used to being miserable, and now that I'm in a better area, I'm a completely different person. I stopped acting like a doormat. I used to think people walked all over me because I was such a nice person, and people suck and take advantage of nice people. It turns out that people like equitable relationships. They like people who can set good boundaries and protect them. And they like people who can take a little pushback. They don't want someone just doing nice stuff for them all the time. By trying to be the nice person all the time, I was essentially just trying to manipulate people into liking me because I was useful to them. But this only attracts toxic people and narcissists. Getting fired from my previous job. That place was absolutely destroying me. I should have quit ages before they canned me. Got my back fixed after 10 years of avoiding it. L5, S1 spinal fusion. Having my entire large intestine removed. Sounds nuts, but I had like the world's worst Crohn's flare in 2020, which eventually led to my colon trying to perforate. If we had just been more aggressive with treatment and the surgery was planned rather than unexpected, things would have been so much easier. I am in remission now. Cut toxic people out of my life. Hiring a sleep coach to help figure out why my kids wouldn't sleep. She didn't suggest anything radical, just a bunch of little changes. But she held us accountable several times a day for 2 weeks through a shared spreadsheet. And the improvement was incredible. Kids slept way longer, were happier, and better behaved. Spouse and I gained hours together in the evenings. Had a way calmer home. And also got to sleep more. We hesitated for months because of sticker shock. But it ended up being a huge investment in our quality of life. Drinking water. Simple, but know so many who don't drink enough it. It's refreshing and revitalizing. I actually have a story. I used to live off of Mountain Dew and Dr. Pepper by the 12 PK box. How I stopped. Got into a major fight with my GF at the time. Now wife, who was a major health nut. She threw out my soda saying stop drinking that shit. I professed my love for the soft drinks and my free will to do so. She pauses for a moment, narrows her eyes and asked me a simple question. What do you love about soda? After thinking about it, outside of the sugar, I said the bubbles. She got me a soda stream with flavor syrup I could reduce to a drop, and that was the last time I had soda. To this day she claims she saved my life. I started flower gardening. Really relaxing. You will see results all summer. Lots of successes and failures, but failures bring improvements. And I listen to Audible books while I'm at it sometimes. Especially great if you have a desk job. Edit. It's so nice to know so many are enjoying gardening. I had no idea it would be a Reddit thing. Stopped arguing with random strangers on internet. Replacing my Adderall for ADHD with medical CBD. I am able to focus similarly, but I am not an intense robot, zombie hybrid. Swapped TV in the evenings for reading. I've read 19 books since March and my mental health has improved drastically since then. Not sure if it's because of the reading, but it's the biggest change I made. Learning how to do everything myself. Car issue? Look it up. Fix my fence? Look it up. Just do it all myself. Replace valves? Look it up. If they don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy. Started making meaningful relationships. I never used to check in on my friends. I was gone a lot and busy with work. At some point it clicked that I had not developed any meaningful relations with my friends. Probably when I went through a traumatic event socially and had very few people check in on me. It's hard to stop being selfish. But when I finally started to think about what I wanted versus what I was giving, I realized I had to do better. Accepting adversity is a part of any process. We may get too overwhelmed from time to time when adversity hits. But if you take a peek at the future, it all starts to feel smaller and make more sense. I did fencing in college, and after that I just couldn't make it work with my school and work schedule. 15 years later, I found a club and started doing it again. I hate every other sport, and exercising just to exercise is unpleasant and boring. This is the only one for me, and I needed something to make me active. I stopped speaking negatively of myself and changed my language to state my general beliefs in things I know are facts as exactly that, and not constantly add in, "I'm a idiot." But negative statements make you feel worse even when you say them, even as a joke. Realizing that my school isn't hell and appreciating the amount of effort my teachers put into their jobs. Getting a WFH 40-hour-a-week Joby was working like 55 hours a week in a warehouse before. So much room for activities edit. This blew up, so anyone asking how I did it, there's a comment below explaining it in detail. Coming out to myself and starting socially transitioning. Finally happy with myself for the first time in my life. Finding the right therapist, been in since I was 9. And found the right one at 23. It's only been maybe 6 months, but I've already unpacked so much more trauma in that small time than I did all the other years wasted in therapy. Stopped drinking and doing so much drugs. I was a terrible alcoholic with first signs of cirrhosis and puking QND, losing enough blood to need a transfusion, so kind of a wake-up call that still took years to actually stop altogether. Not everyone can afford this, but moving closer to work, my commute went from 45 miserable minutes in traffic glaring in hatred at the taillights in front of me to a pleasant 15-minute bike ride. I got an hour of free time every day and better health. Got a bidet toilet attachment. There's nothing like having a clean ass all the time. Listening to the sound of rain to fall asleep. When I was told that I would lose my eyesight, it made me pay more attention to how beautiful the sky was. I can still see, and I enjoy watching the clouds on a level one can't even explain. Edit. Thanks to everyone for the love. You all have made me very happy. I stopped living my life just waiting for the weekend. When you work 5 days a week and have just 2 off, it's not good to be always waiting for those 2 days. You can plan something meaningful or fun every day, even if it's just a small thing. Getting divorced, 10 out of 10, would recommend. Hiring a cleaner. I grew up in a house where money was tight. Whenever we heard people talking about their maid or housekeeper, we always assumed they were super rich. I'm not rich. Very much middle class. But my wife and I both work full-time and have a lot on our plates. We found a local person who has a small cleaning business. We keep up with day-to-day cleaning. Dishes. Laundry. Immediate spills and messes. Wiping things down. Etc. Then once a month, a cleaner does a pass. Focusing on dusting. Deeper clean of the floors. Bathrooms. Etc. It's about the same cost as a date night, and it does so much to help us stay on top of things. To talk about my depression. Don't be too afraid to seek for help. Paying a chiropractor to straighten my back at age 38. I never knew I had such bad posture before a kind person pointed out how bad I looked and that it could be fixed. I just thought I had some bad genetics and was destined to be a hunchback when I was older. It cost a fair bit but fixed so many issues, e.g. suspected arthritis in my hand, tinnitus, shortness of breath sometimes, constant pain in 2 areas of my back, constant pain in my thigh, thickened ankles, digestive issues. People I haven't seen in ages always comment on how different I look. It's been absolutely life-changing. Started antidepressants when I was a teenager. There were other factors too. But spent like 15 years in worry, anxiety-ridden, suicidal ideation, depression. I now know it would have at least been significantly curbed if I had been on medication that early. Getting my deviated septum fixed. Too many broken noses when I was younger eventually lead to me as an adult barely able to breathe out of my nose. Sleep was horrible for me. I basically couldn't. I got to the point where I was a zombie sleepwalking through the day. One operation and suddenly I could breathe. Even with the bandages still on. I could breathe better than before. And I could actually sleep. After the first night I realized I had experienced a dream while sleeping, something I hadn't had in years. I should have done that years earlier. Adopting a growth mindset. Believing in the ability of change in all aspects in life. It really started slow and took nearly 2 years. But in most cases I no longer ask if I can do. Instead I ask how to do it and if I want to do it. Exercise every day. Anxiety and depression are much easier to manage. And I got some confidence I haven't had in years. Getting good earplugs for sleeping. Using a cup instead of tampons and pads. I got really heavy periods since I started and it was always a pain for me to deal with just how often I had to change them and how much I had to use. I could have a super tampon, night pad and toilet paper and still bleed through 'em all in a few hours. Got a cup and while annoying to use, it gets so much more blood than the others and I don't have to worry about TSS as much. Also, sleeping soundly for more than 8 hours a night was a blessing for me. I finally decided to stop giving a shit. Now I do what I want. Reasonably. And 95% of the time. I don't regret the decisions I make. Again. Reasonably. Seeing a dermatologist for adult acne. I tried every product on the market with no success and they had me cleared up in no time. Should have been my first stop. Clean eating and working out. Just packed up and moved thousands of miles away. Left everything behind and just started over. Besides some debt, a suitcase, and contacts for only the non-toxic people in my life. It's been an extremely liberating experience. And looking back, nothing was really preventing me from doing it sooner. No real reasons at least. I just kept coming up with excuses not to do it until one day I couldn't think of one. Setting rules for myself. After COVID started, I spent a year drinking and eating pizza every other day and at that time I thought, why shouldn't I keep doing it if I enjoy it? You can die anytime, so you should make the most out of what little time you have, right? The problem being, apart from health consequences, that it quickly becomes not enjoyable, and I realize now how miserable I was during that time. Most things are only fun when you do them occasionally. Sounds obvious, I know, but it was not obvious for my dumbass. Now I have set rules for myself that I can only drink on Sundays and only eat junk food once a month, and it's so much more rewarding and fun. Audiobooks, commutes, walks, yard work, chores, watching kids at the park, lounging around, etc. are all way better and some of the highlights of my day. I even listen when I fall asleep, and it helped me sleep faster and gave me something to enjoy if I have a random bout of insomnia. I'm about to go camping and know I'll sleep like garbage and enjoy every minute of laying in a tent. Not sleeping. Got the fuck away from that fentanyl. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Quitting drinking. 537 days sober today. I wasted 4 years of my life being in a drunken stupor. So grateful it wasn't longer and so proud that I had the courage to finally quit. Learning to set boundaries and say no. No one has said it yet, but laser eye surgery. Best money I've ever spent. Cutting out added sugar. Holy hell, blood pressure went down. Energy went way up. I lost weight. Sleep better. Feel better. I can't think of a single change to my diet that had a more immediate and significant impact. Cutting off toxic family. Literally any and everyone. Mom, sisters, cousins, aunts, etc. No regrets and finally have peace in my life. I begrudgingly started lifting weights when I was 30 due to some back pain that caused me to barely be able to get out of my office chair. I forced myself to go for a few weeks. Then I started looking forward to going to the gym. Then after a while I became a total gym rat meathead. I wish I had started lifting when I was a teenager. Not only did it cure my back pain but I lost weight. Look and feel much better and the doctor says all my health indicators are spot on now as I am in my 40s and in addition it's like a hobby for me now that I tinker with and socialize with other people who are into the same thing etc. Riding my mountain bike up the mountain then riding my mountain bike down the mountain. This single thing made everything easier. Accepting that it'll never be normal. I was diagnosed with cerebral palsy when I was 6 months old and now I am 17. It took me 14 years to realize that my life is so much easier when I am not constantly thinking about what other people might be thinking about when they see me walk, talk or do anything really. I am graduating high school literally TMW and it took me this long to finally accept who I am. Left my abusive relationship of 14 years. Doing at least one chore a day. You would be amazed at how well getting something done, even if you hate it, can fight back against certain depressive mentalities, particularly the ones that convince you you're useless or are a burden. Subscribe for more content.